Welcome to Powerhouse. Today we have with us Emily Lazar. She's the lead vocalist and the creator of September Mourning. Welcome.
Hi, very nice to meet you. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you for joining. Very nice to meet you. We met over Clubhouse. Well, met in voice
Yeah,
over Clubhouse, and that was amazing. We're just talking about how awesome it is to kind of meet different people over Clubhouse that you don't normally meet. So this is great. So why don't we start with an intro in terms of what do you do now and how did you get to your current position?
so I am the lead singer creator of the transmedia project September Mourning. And transmedia just means that it's an art form that plays across all different types of media. So comic books, graphic novels, music, performance art, videos, hopefully TV and film soon. So, there's a lot of different plays in the one circular storyline that kind of mediates through all of it. It's a pretty intense project that revolves around a storyline. I perform as September Mourning on stage, and the brief synopsis of the project is that September is a Reaper human hybrid who is trying to give good souls second chances at life, souls that she feels have died too early and deserved a second chance to do what they're meant to do on this planet. And so in reviving them and putting them in other people's bodies, she kind of messes with the antagonist, whose name is Fate. And Fate kind of sends all of these Reapers after September to stop September because Fate wants to leave all the bad souls on the planet and let the planet self-destruct. So September's trying to be the warrior of the living, and she's going after Fate, the warrior of the dead. And it's this epic battle between the living and the dead. So very supernatural if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. How did you come up with the idea in the first place?
So I had a friend die on me like a long time ago, 2008 or 2009, actually 2009 almost, in September, the morning of September. And it was really heart-wrenching because, sometimes when people that are really good and very prominent in your life pass and they leave this earth, it's just kind of like you always ask yourself, why them? Why did they have to be chosen to go at this certain point in life? And so I wanted to write something. It kind of inspired me to write something and create something revolving around that topic or that question, why him? And so I basically made this whole project. I built this world out to kind of represent that idea of good souls and like why they should not be taken. And so I created this character that could save them. And the whole project became this homage to my friend who was like my best friend in the whole wide world, and he was taken so soon and so abruptly. And so it was a very emotional time for me. And a lot of times the most creative times in your life are the most emotional times in your life. So I think it's a beautiful way to represent him.
Absolutely. And it's obviously you're still building upon it, and so that is a beautiful homage. Talk about how did you then kind of grow it out of the different mediums, right? Or into the different mediums.
I started actually with the storyline and the graphic novels. I met with Mark Silvestri of Image Comics. He's the owner of Image Comics and also Top Cow Comics. And he was a huge influence on me growing up as an artist. Like I loved his drawings and his characters. And he has this thing about making these women characters in his comic books, like really strong, sexy and feminine, but really strong and intelligent creatures. And so I wanted somebody like him to kind of be in play because he would make this character, this female, that much more empowered. And so I was really excited to work with him, and I reached out to him and he reached back, and I said, I have this crazy idea. I want to do a transmedia project. And he didn't even know what that was. And he was like, well, that's a new term. And I was like, yeah, I want to do this transmedia project across different elements of media and tell a storyline. And I want to play the character on stage, and I sing and rock music and this and that and the other thing. And so we just kind of we had a 6-hour dinner once and just went through all the different elements of how we could stretch a storyline across different elements of media. And it was so intense and amazing. And he's such a creative mind, and he's a forward thinker. He's always done stuff in the space that's been ahead of its time. I know we all know that, there's a lot of comic books, TV, films, and shows and films out there right now. But back in the day, Mark had the first one. He had the Witchblade on TNT, that TV channel, and he had the Witchblade on there, and it was way ahead of its time. Nobody was doing comic books and TV at that time, so he kind of like made a mark, and so I like being a pioneer, and so does Mark. So we tried to do this, and we've accomplished a lot with it. It kind of grew from the storyline. Then I started messing around with the music and trying to create the sound that I wanted and the costume design that I wanted and how it would work out on stage. And it's just been a learning process over a number of years. But we started touring very heavily in 2014 is when we released a record and a couple of EPs and stuff like that. And we've been touring pretty consistently 8 months out of the year until the pandemic hit, of course. And, it's just been my life. And we've subsequently done videos and animation and art and a lot of different types of media that circle around the whole thing. And recently I just launched an NFT for September Mourning, which is the first female fronted rock band NFT to be bought and like sold and auctioned on OpenSea and across platforms for NFTs. So I kind of made history with that. So once again, pioneering into the space. Yay!
Hey, that's amazing. Congratulations. And definitely want to hear more about the latest development. But kind of that's where I heard about you in terms of doing the NFT for your artwork and your creative work. So can you explain a little bit more about that whole process?
It was amazing because I've been in this space for about a year now, like really studying and watching it grow. And I wanted to get in because it just seemed like, September Mourning stretches across all these mediums. So I wanted to be in the crypto medium as well and develop artwork there. And since I have this character in this storyline, I took some artwork and some line art that we've done and I did some animation on it. And then I put the music on top of it and told the story in the bio and just kind of created this little art piece. And so far we sold a bunch and we have 2 at auction right now. That's really exciting. And so hopefully I'll find buyers for those as well and move forward and do more. And it's just very exciting. It's very exciting to make art in a different medium that's not popularized by culture yet, and just be kind of one of the first in the medium.
Absolutely. So 1 year ago, that's really early in terms of the space. I mean, I only heard of it like a month ago. So how did you even hear about it? And then how did you have the idea to get involved? Because I mean, it's fairly early, right? So there's got to be some risks or doubts. Yeah. How did you kind of do that?
I'm just one of those artists that just kind of jumps in, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Let's just do it, Yeah. And I mean, I did spend months and months like looking at the space. And I know that the first NFT launched as Rare Peppies, I think it was 2014 on Bitcoin, the Bitcoin network. So, NFTs have been kicking around for some time now and they've gone up and down, kind of like the markets for crypto have. And so it was an interesting concept. And I thought that, what, let me look at the artists in the space. And I saw this guy named Blau who's in the space and he's awesome. And he does some amazing work. And it was just kind of like, wow, like this is next gen, this is technology, this is art, this is finance, this is like so many different things in one piece. And it was really exciting to onboard.
Yeah, it absolutely just brings it all together. And I think for all the artists and creators, it's very exciting because, as you said, it's a way to have make it authentic, right? And that's a way to package it and be able to put it on the market and not worry about having it copied, stolen, and all that, right? Or have the buyer have that worry. So this does sound like very exciting, and it works really well for your multimedia and or transmedia form of the project. So kind of keep growing into a different medium as technology gets better. And how do you choose which platform to put up your work?
I looked at all the different platforms. There's some more curated ones like Nifty Gateway and Super Rare, but those have these waiting lists of like a year, 2 years, stuff like. I mean, they get so many submissions. They're getting about 5,000 submissions a day. They're choosing 12 submissions every week to put out. So it's like there's not like a lot of drops that are going on. So I wanted to go to market, and so I picked OpenSea. I spoke to the people at OpenSea about what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it and how I wanted to onboard into the space. And they were really excited and they wanted to onboard me. And with their excitement grew my excitement. And it just seemed like a really great platform. That uncoupled with the fact that they are the biggest marketplace in the space, just made me like feel like this is, this is going to be interesting. This is an interesting spot to plant my flag and see what's going on.
Absolutely. Do you mind explaining a little bit on the process itself? Let's say someone goes on the platform and wanted to kind of buy or bid for the art, any artwork.
So you can go to my link. There's actually a link in my bios, any of my Instagram bios, or even on our website, septembermourning.com, and it's mourning.com. There's a little tab at the top that says NFT, and you can click on the NFT tab up there, and it'll give you kind of a rundown about what NFTs are, how they're non-fungible tokens, how it's tokenizing art, how it, you're supporting the artist, even if you collect it and make some money off of it. 10% of that goes to the artist. And so you're constantly supporting the art, which is an amazing thing to do. So it talks about all of that sort of stuff. And then it has a link in there to OpenSea, and you'll go on the OpenSea account and you have to connect your wallet. I use MetaMask. I know a lot of people use MetaMask on OpenSea. It's really easy to use. You have to have Ethereum or one of the coins that are, accepted in there, in your MetaMask. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and purchase. If there is a direct sale that you can purchase on, or if there's an auction, you can just put in a bid for the piece. Say you want 0.5 ETH or 2 ETH or 5 ETH or 100 ETH, whatever you want to bid on, and you put in the bid. And then when the auction runs out, it's, either yours or the highest bidders. And that's kind of how it works. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. I guess it is like a little game, and I guess stocks are also kind of a game, right? So this is kind of in that arena, but combines the creative world and the artwork and everything. So
yeah, and you're like also, you're betting on an artist. You're putting your money behind a real artist that has something to say. Like, real art out there is a working artist. If you love supporting and being a patron of the arts, this is a great way to go direct to artists. So you're not going through a third party, which is another interesting fact about NFTs. You're going direct to artists. It's great for independent artists that own their publishing, own their music, and own their IP. And that's what I own, my IP and my music and pub and everything. So it's a great way for me to explore the space, and you to support directly, which is great too.
That is amazing. That is absolutely the biggest thing, right? And the best thing. And as you said, if somebody wants to support, this is there's no excuse. There's a direct way to do it now.
Exactly. And also women in this space. It's wonderful to see women in this space, because there aren't a lot of women pioneering in this space. And I love being one of them, because I think that there needs to be more of a footprint from, a woman's point of view in this space. And so I'm glad to be one of the first.
Awesome. Now, do you have more planning coming up?
Yes, I'm already working on another drop, and there's like a lot to go forward with, but so keep on watching. But there's going to be a lot that I can do with this space. So I'm really excited to actually learn the ins and outs of unlockable content, and like maybe doing backstage passes with some of the drops and this and that with you, but it's also very cool to get in on the ground layer. So if you do want one of the first pieces, it's a great time to bid.
Absolutely. So. And I love the fact that you said 10% goes to the artists every time it switch hands as well.
Right. So it has that residual, it has that, that royalty payment, but it's not like through a third party. So it's not like Spotify, where you get 0.0001% of like a penny or something, Right. It's like you just get direct to the artist. So that's great.
Right. That's great. And also for the artist, you don't feel like you sold it, fairly early on, and then you just don't see it again, right? Because then.
Right. I mean, could you imagine if we had this around when Picasso painted? His whole family would be taken care of for the rest of their lives.
Right.
It's a way to promote generational wealth within the art community, which is something that's never been promoted before, ever. I can't even name anything that really, promoted that past, maybe getting signed to a record deal that was in perpetuity, but I've never heard of a deal like that. So this is something that is in perpetuity, 10% from here to eternity. So it's cool.
Awesome. And that's a great term as well. Generational wealth. That is very important. It's
Yeah.
not just about yourself, it's your brand and your whole family. So,
Yeah, exactly.
and throughout, so you've done so much, right? So many different types of medium. And throughout the whole journey, what is the one proudest moment, career wise?
I mean, I love being on stage and I love performing for people. And there's like such a sense of stillness that happens when I'm on stage. And that sounds really weird because I'm never still on stage. But like, I mean, in my heart, there's like this sense of stillness. And I can never find that in like IRL, right? In real life, I can never find that. It's like I have to be on stage to find that stillness, and that's just a magical feeling, a magical feeling. So I look forward to it every time I perform. And also, you know, I think, so that being said, some of my best performances, I remember them. And like, you know, I remember doing Download in front of like 100,000 people. And I mean, I remember the rush and the roar of the crowd, and meeting everybody afterwards at the merch table, because I'll go there and I'll stand there for 5-6 hours and just try to meet as many people as I can, because I really do believe that art needs to be personal, and you need to be there with the fan, and you need to understand them and they need to understand you. It makes it that much better.
Wow. So performing is still your biggest, love.
Yeah. Yeah. I love creating. I mean, creating is amazing too, but
Yeah.
yeah, performing.
And so on the flip side, what is the one biggest challenge throughout creating the September Morning brand? And again, working in different medium. Is there a particular medium that was hardest to create?
I wouldn't say hardest. I think more challenging are like maybe the graphic novel, you know, medium and stuff. The ones that I don't understand as much as I understand music.
Hmm.
But what I think was like really the hardest thing about the whole thing is getting people to understand the concept of like transmedia, concept of telling a story on different platforms,
Mhm.
because people didn't understand it at first. They were like, wait, what is this? You know, they didn't get it.
Hmm.
So having to like translate that into layman's terms and get people to wrap their heads around it was definitely a challenge, but it was, you know, graciously accepted by myself. So yeah.
That's amazing. What was the method that worked the best, I guess, in terms of explaining, or would you say social media platforms, the growth of it helped explain a lot of it?
Yeah, the social media definitely did. I mean, the graphic novel, of course, was like that's where the story is. And then the music builds on top of that so well, I think, that it just kind of all flows together. So and I like the project because if you don't like the music, you can just read the graphic novels. If you don't like the graphic novels, you can just listen to the music. Everything has a standalone platform if it needs it. But
Right.
if you combine it all together, you get these Easter eggs, like certain things that I'm going to do in the NFTs will probably not be in the graphic novels, and will not be like on stage, and will not be at the merch tables, but you can get it in the NFT.
Right.
So it's like, you know, there's like different things here and there that we can do to set up like different Easter eggs throughout the whole conceptual process. And I think that when you have Easter eggs and things, that's when it gets really fun, because
Yeah.
you're like, oh, did you know what you did on that? And like, oh, this links to this. And so it gets to be really fun.
Absolutely. That sounds, yeah, fun for everyone, right? And for the fans to kind of just find those things and or talk amongst themselves and say, "Oh, did you get this? Or did you see that?" And but
Yeah.
that's very interesting as well. You mentioned like so for NFT, you can embed certain like secret message as well. Is that kind of how it's?
Yeah, so you can have unlockable content in the NFT where you can unlock it. Once the owner takes possession of the NFT, they unlock the content, and you can attach it to like a physical piece. You could attach it to like a necklace, a t-shirt, a backstage pass, like a secret Telegram group that you guys talk about things on. Like, I mean, there's so many different things. A secret show that only people with the NFTs are invited to. Like, I mean, there's so many different ways you can use this new platform to create art and make it cool again. And it's just exciting.
So with all the things happening, how do you get your inspiration?
I just love art. I love that, you know, like when you're a creator, and you know this being a creator yourself, like, I mean, when you get that bug, you just want to create more. You just want to like throw things out there. And see what sticks. It's like, wow, I need to like figure this out, and then I need to do something on it. It's like, so I think that's really important.
Yeah, but it sounds like you have that drive as well, right? So you have to have kind of that drive, and you see something new and you want to get into it, in on it. And how do you think you have that like drive? Like, were you um always want to try new things as a kid, or how does that develop?
I mean, I grew up being a ballerina, like since I was 4 years old till 19, when I had a really debilitating accident and I couldn't do it anymore. But like, you learn this sort of work ethic that is kind of above and beyond anybody's work ethic, I think, ever, anywhere. Ballerinas are like total workaholics. I mean, I thought my dad was a workaholic, and I beat him now. And so it's like, it's crazy the amount of like work it takes to do what they do on stage. And I know that firsthand. And I kind of like implemented that into everything I did past ballet. So like, I think that taught me the work ethic. It taught me what I need to do to make things work, and not to be afraid when looking at it going, this is such a huge project. I'm like, this is a huge project. Okay, what's the smallest chunk I can take of it today? And like, and then working forward to, so that one day you turn around and you've done all this and accomplished all this. I never thought I'd be sitting here talking about NFTs of a project I created almost, a decade ago, like sitting in my like small apartment in New York City, dreaming of like making a comic book character. It's a crazy amount of work that went into getting me to this place. And I think that, I always knew that it takes a lot of work to get to some place that is like so monumental, because of ballet being that sort of a thing. So I think that I looked at everything I did in art the same way. Like, it's okay if it's monument. It's okay to dream big. It's okay to like want to do something outside of your comfort zone. You can do it as long as you put in the work, Right. So that was kind of like always my key goal, is putting in the work.
Amazing. Now, any point in time that you feel like, well, I guess I feel like giving up? I mean, that's a strong word. Or if you feel like that's not the direction, or maybe you had this thinking like, okay, I had this grand idea, but maybe I can't realize it. Is there any point in time that happened, and how do you?
Oh, it happens all the time. It still happens to this day. I think any artist would be lying if they say they've never had that. Like, it's just, I mean, like, not for nothing, but stuff's hard. It's like hard to be an artist. It's hard to make a living. It's hard to make a living in the world today anyway with coronavirus, but like being an artist, it's even harder. Right. So there's been times where I've woken up and I'm like, I wake up and I just cry for like an hour, because I'm like, how am I going to make this work? But artists are always like, yes, it's very hard to be an artist, but the one thing, if you're a true artist, you're very resilient. We're very resilient people, and we're very creative. So it's kind of like, we look at a wall and we're like, okay, how can I get around the wall? Like, we don't look at the wall and be like, okay, this is done, I better go another way. We look at the way, okay, that's a wall. How can I scale it? How can I dig beneath it? How can I blow it up? How can I like turn it into a waterfall? How can I, I mean, we think of all these like weird things when we look at something. We don't look at it. I don't think we look at life the same way, other people do. And I think that's the brilliance of us. It's also maybe the detriment of us. Being in a relationship with an artist is probably hard, but that being said, you have to look at the world that way, because you're gonna want to quit. You are, because it's freaking hard to be an artist.
Amazing. Absolutely though. Yeah. And then I guess part of being creative is also, finding that solution, as you said, right? So it's not just in your art, but it's, well, you're looking at something differently, and just finding that creative solution. So that's great. And it's hard. Yeah. When, I'm sure you have people around you that probably quit and just kind of call it a day and say, forget it, I'm just going to find a job. So that also makes it hard, right?
It's so funny, because I've reconnected with some people on Clubhouse, because I still have my same phone number from like, a decade ago. So right. I've reconnected with people on Clubhouse that I haven't seen in like 10 years. And they're like, wow, you really did it. Like, you really did it. and they were like, they're like stoked. They're like, you put in the work,
Mhm.
you grinded, and you got to where you got to because you put in the work and you never gave up. And a lot of my friends from New York, and I mean, I reconnected with my friend Pierre, and he's just like, I love just watching you go. I just love to watch you just go because it's like so inspirational. And that's, as an artist, you need to be inspirational for other people. You need to like show them that, okay, there's the wall. How do we get around it? How do we dig below it? How do we make it into waterfall? Like you need to show people that those things are possible.
Awesome.
So that's part of your job as well.
That's very inspirational just to hear you say that, and not just doing it for yourself, but you know, you gotta do it for the rest of the creators. So that's awesome. And with that, what are your next big projects? I know we touched upon a little bit before, but what are the next things that we can expect from you?
Well, we're looking to do another graphic novel, another 4 books or 5 books of September Mourning with a whole different storyline. So I've been talking to Mark Silvestri about that. We're looking to do more NFTs. We're looking to get back on tour in August, most likely. We released a new single called Kill This Love, which you can stream on Spotify, which is pretty awesome. We're very excited about that. We released Wake the Dead, which was a single that we released 2 months ago.
Mhm.
That's been doing really well on Spotify. And actually that music you can find in this NFT called Wake the Dead. And it's the only political song I've ever really made. It's kind of like through the eyes of September looking at the world, but it's also my own sort of like views on the world today and how we're bombarded with like a lot of propaganda, and like people are trying to tell us how to think and tell us how to feel, and like, and you kind of have to step back and like do your own research, do your own work, and like rely on your own morality and your own sort of like thought process to actually really understand what's going on in the world today, because there's so much misinformation out there and there's so much like propaganda. The freedom of the mind is being lost in some instances, and I think it's really important to recognize that. So this song is about taking control of your own thoughts and beliefs and morality, and like presenting that in everything you do. And I think it's a really positive thing. And that's also, the song is also part of the NFT that you can get as well. So that's very exciting.
And what are any additional advice for the audience and listeners in terms of either, you know, getting into the career field, or in general, general advice in life?
Don't give up. You know, it's like, it's the most Hallmark card thing I can tell you, but don't give up. You know, life is hard, and it's not like it's going to get any easier. So don't be disillusioned by, you know, like people being like, oh, everything gets better and stuff. Sometimes it doesn't get better. Sometimes it gets worse. But the thing is that with every trial and tribulation that I've had in my life, and I've had a lot of them, and they've been really difficult, like some really difficult stuff. And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I really do believe that. And you can take lessons from anything. You can take lessons from anything in life, and you can take lessons from everyone in life. Everyone that comes into your life has something to teach you, because they look at the world differently than you do. And as an artist, it's like art is subjective, but it's also perspective. And it's about learning how to view things from other people's perspectives, because that gives you inspiration. So I implore people to, like, you know, look at somebody else's view before you go off on them. Feel what they're feeling. Like, if we can all be more sympathetic to each other's causes and each other's like intuition and what they have to say and what they have to feel, I think this world would be a much healthier place to be. And so that's kind of the message I like to convey.
Great message. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.